have the privilege of being at the base of Gondola 1 here with, who are you, sir?
Captain Powder, superhero.
Captain Powder, superhero.
From Breckenridge.
From Breckenridge, here with Mr. Smalltalk.
Here we are to our viewing audience. We're with David Turner at the Boondoggle in 2020, Vail, Colorado, the silver anniversary. And you were one of the graybeards, one of the very, very first people. So tell us about that experience and how you got going with the Boondoggle.
Before the Boondoggle started, to give you a flavor of what Jim Warner was like when he was in his mid-40s, is we were skiing at Beaver Creek, and it was about 2 weeks before the World Cup champion, and that means that they had fenced off the Golden Eagle slope, which is where that race is. And so we were skiing by it, and we saw a break in the rope, and here was a slope that had about 12 inches of untracked powder on it. We looked at one another. We didn't have to even communicate. We were going in, and we started. We were just having a blast until we looked over our shoulders, and there the ski patrol was coming after us. Again, we looked at one another. We didn't have to say anything. We just started skiing as fast as we could, and we outran the ski patrol.
Bant Steiner is here. He was one of the original folks that came. Tell us what's the funniest thing you remember about the Boondoggle.
Well, I don't know if it's the funniest. It was the funniest to me. So we were coming back, and Judy had come to pick us up in her SUV, and the us being 5 guys. And so we all piled into the SUV at Vail and proceeded to come down here over to Eagle Vale and get off at the exit for 6. During that time, nobody said a single word. And then Chris Haas looked at Judy and said, "Have you ever wondered what men talk about?" I just thought that was hilarious.
That's terrific.
I fondly treasure the whole ethos of the Boondoggle. There's a vibe to it that really gets me. It's an annual banquet, really, of sharing, humor. We go all out physically and emotionally, and it's all done in a spirit of deep fellowship. Some of the particular parts that I treasure are the 7 to 10 minute chair rides with Ray, Adam, Freddie, Vince, Dave, anyone, where I'll bluntly ask them, so what's happening in your life? And the relationship grows. There's the selfless behind-the-scenes service of a Beat and a Judy year after year, decade after decade, in the preparation of the condo units and the food. Can't thank them enough. The energy and fun of the rising generation, Will, Adam, Andrew, Ray, Paul, you know who you are. You're now leading those of us who are the elders. You guys are our teachers.
You know, I first came here in 1995. I crashed a weekend that David Turner and Jim were having up in Vail. And I don't remember whether I invited myself or I just somehow showed up. And in those early years, I was always the youngest guy. And something happened in the meantime that this group has both expanded and diversified, where all of a sudden I became one of the old guys. From being an early pounder to then forming the quarter pounder group because we pounded a quarter at a time.
It was 2000. I did my first YPO forum retreat with Jim in Park City. It was summertime, and I got a taste of some of the work he was doing. Subsequently, our forum engaged him a couple times, and he was talking a little bit about this group of skiers he had. So eventually, he invited me, and I was pretty intrigued with the work he was doing, and was very intrigued to come up and ski together with him because I really liked him.
Back is because of the relationships, because of the men and women who've attended over the years and have left an indelible mark on my life.
Well, I work internationally, and I'll typically come the farthest. So since I've been coming here, the first few times I was in Florida, but for 10 years I came from Dubai. The last 2 years I've come from Guam.
Well, maybe not so funny, but I think very typical. at the Boondoggle you learn about the gifts and the talents of the different persons. And there was one incident where one of the members pulled out a car in the morning, go to the lift, let it run the American way, of course, to heat it up. Went out of the car, closed the door, and the door's locked. So the car was there, full tank, locked, and it would run for another 24 hours. But there was, fortunately, Dave Phillips. He knew how to handle that situation. He got himself a hanger, twisted and bended it, and within a minute he was in the car, opened the door, and we solved the problem.
He should have been a car thief.
Well, he knew what to do.
Yeah, that's
wherever
good.
he learned that.
We're out of here at 6:50 tomorrow, and we're all gonna have to park in the garage tomorrow. There's no shuttle service, so I'll park in the main lodge. There'll be nobody there. That'll be a breeze. But be over by the gondola, just kind of ready to get on the gondola.
And then we're up at dawn, we get smudged by Adela.
And a second person would help. But the job, the job is getting it in the oven and saucepan and getting it out onto the table and having the table set and all of that.
Here we are at the tent, lunchtime.
Powder hounds.
Hey!
Water. Places in the world, but they pay a premium and they use they pay a premium for it because they want to solve world hunger. You know, sort of bringing robbing from the rich to give to the poor. And so they're solving that problem. And then they created a market on the other side.
Pounder mean?
A pounder is somebody who pounds it and gets after it and has no fear and skis hard all the time.
Yeah, shoot the gap. Just go straight and then peel hard. You okay? I'm fine. Are you fine? Yeah. Do I have skis?
Colorado with Chris Steiner. Chris is one of the younger members. And tell us one of the funny stories you remember about the Boondoggle.
So last night I was sitting next to the bopper at dinner. It was 6:35. We had full plates of salmon and salad, bread, vegetables. We did this great prayer chant. And at the end of it, I was kind of reflecting because I thought it was ironic that at 6, I had walked into the kitchen at 4 and found my dad there, and he was kind of motionless. So I said, "Hey Dad, what's going on?" And he looked at me with this lifeless, hollow stare and said, "We're fucked." But we weren't. Food was there, it was timely, it was great. So what I wanted to say was, thank you, Dad, for all the tireless effort that you spend on these dinners year after year. But I'm a little concerned because I'm afraid you're developing a rare form of PTSD boondoggle style around dinner time. So next year, I might encourage you to consider partaking a little bit of energy medicine about 30 minutes before dinner, because it might just have a way of profoundly unfucking you.
Fellow boondogglers.
That is classic.
I have to confess that when I was first invited to the Boondoggle, I knew that it was an all-men's event, and I was a little suspect the group was looking for a woman in the kitchen. I was quickly informed that a breakfast of champions was provided every morning with John Wilson's bacon and eggs and Jim Warner's pomegranate oatmeal, not to mention Bayot's superb dinner meals. So I knew that wasn't the reason. Then I wondered if I'd have the responsibility, even with a few other female attendees, to counterbalance that boondoggle high-octane testosterone energy. And then, at the first boondoggle, after attending multiple sessions, I realized half the participants left crying, and I realized the feminine was there in full force doing her magic. And I was off the hook.
And all the boondogglers rendezvoused at the Mid-Vail lunch location. We all ate and did our normal backpack lunch buffet. And as we're gearing up and getting ready to go down and get back out on the mountain, we went down to use the restroom. And I go and use the restroom. There's about 5 or 6 urinals at the Mid-Vail on one side, and there's a couple other guys there, and I pull into an open stall and start to do what I do and use the restroom. And then a person comes to my left, and I don't look because it's the men's room and it's not, the thing you're supposed to do. But I hear this man, and he unzips his fly, and I hear him go, "I swear I packed this thing this morning. It was in here when I left this morning." He starts fishing around looking for his junk. I said, "Who is this clown?" And I look over, and it's David Turner fishing around for his twig and berries.
Ah, that's classic.
The other kind of great story for me was the year I was wore the bopper jacket.
Tell folks a little bit about the bopper jacket.
The
since
bopper
you got
jacket.
it on.
So every year, one boondoggler is chosen for the next year to wear the bopper jacket, as you can see. Classic, has the
Duct tape
tape
together.
I mean, it's just old school jacket, It's
Right,
like,
right.
I think it's is it one of Jim's oldest jackets, and I think Jim wore this for years and years and years and would never sort of update, and so it's become a bit of a classic tradition. And so every year, the original bopper, of course, is Jim Warner, and then he would pick somebody, and then the next 2 boppers would get together and they would pick somebody. And I think there's 7, 8, or 8 of us now that have worn the jacket over the years. And by the way, this is.
I, as a former bopper owner, I wanted just to offer an appreciation to Vince and say, I'm always happy to see your face because I know when I'm around you, I'm going to feel good.
Right on. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, former poppers.
Guys. All right, let's rock and roll, guys.
We got back on the gondola and we met a new friend. So, what up with the yellow vest? And we said, Kim, this yellow vest is power, my friend. You want to put this yellow vest on? No problem, my friend. Stand up. He says, oh yes, I like the yellow vest. So he stands up, I get up, and I don him with the yellow vest. And he says, oh, I feel like a friend of the family now. And I said, Kim, give me a boondoggle! And he said, boondoggle! Our friend Kim, he was such a good man. We got up to the top of 26, and he looked at us and said, boondoggle.
And my little block that you made the first year I came has got more miles on it because it travels with me. I consider it a kind of a protection device.
Ah, okay.
So-
well, here's the block.
This came from.
Tell me what that
the
means
first
to you.
year. Oh gosh, just holding it, it changes my mood. Just holding it. I mean, just you giving it to me. My voice just changed.
The Boondoggle has been a place where we bring together people from different backgrounds, different places, different ages, different moments in their life, but we all come here with a similar commitment to growing, to connecting with our deeper selves, and I love that. I love what I've both been able to share and receive from the guys here over the years.
Does that rock that you're holding in your hand, how does that symbolize what you just said?
Right. So this rock joins thousands of rocks, of sticks, of batons, of other items that we use in groups like this all over the world. This is this gives us a voice. This is the rock that gives us a voice. It says it's our turn to talk.
That is.
A big part for me is the talk deep in the night, discussions about life, love, identity, meaning that follow the evening sessions, people congregating in the living room of number 8. I just love being part of that.
You also have to credit Jim, because not only is he a great fun maker, and has done all sorts of fun things.
Perfect. Now turn around. No, so all the way so I can see the front.
When we were doing the group hug, and I think there were more than 7 on the group hug, and I got to watch, and they were skiing towards us, and he grabbed her and steered her the other way. I don't know what they're doing over there, but it doesn't look like we should interfere.
Mike's going to tell us about how he got involved and decided to come to the first Boondoggle.
Well, it was all Jim. He had done one of my YPO groups, kind of made us cry. He went deep, and I was infatuated by how strong of a person he was, and I figured he asked me to come, I gotta come. Absolutely. You know, I love the mountains, I love skiing, but this is really about the camaraderie, and there's so few places in life where you could be open and honest with people who are, 20 years old and 75 years old or 78 years old.
Well, about probably 8 or 9 years ago, I got an invitation from Jim, and Jim was always a mentor of mine. I've grown tremendously in a lot of different ways. I'd say the biggest thing that has changed is becoming a lot more self-aware, especially as it relates to my relationships.
What I'll say is that being a G2 member and being with all of these other men, mostly men, who are in different parts of the life cycle and really tapping into that wisdom is priceless to me. So being able to...
Is there anything in your life that might have changed as a result of the Boondoggle?
I've really appreciated the interactions with all of the participants and especially the facilitators. And I would say it has helped me enormously with my marriage, values, and how I want to live my life. And so it's been a great catalyst in a bunch of very big ways.
Well, I think that at the time, I was fortunate to get time with Kaylee to talk about operating above the line and below the line, to be thinking about going from to me to by me, and then aspiring to be in a zone where I could have things happen through me.
you know, just the surprise. I think it was a surprising experience to begin with. I had really no idea, you know, where it was going to lead and how rich it would be outside of the skiing. So I'm an avid skier, so obviously I came back because the skiing's great most of the time. But I think it's the ties that bind. It's the people that I've met that bring me back every year. I know their stories, they know mine, and there's just a real deep caring among the group that is sort of irreplaceable.
You know, nowhere else in my life have I known such a group of people who cared so much for me, loved me so much, and encouraged and wanted the best for me, as well as just giving me an amazing sounding board.
So, recent history, last year was my first boondoggle, and Jim the Bopper was challenged whether or not he could dance. And with a straight face, he got up and proceeded to boogie right in front of us. Everybody started getting enthusiastic, and Kaylee joined in, and before you knew it, we had a big impromptu dance party.
Gathered for this event are incredibly special guys. They are deep, they are thoughtful, they are experienced coaches, some of them, and the things we talk about at night change your life.
Well, I'm not sure how many years I've actually been coming to the Boondoggle, but I can tell you it's been a very long time. And during the course of that time, there have been lots and lots of memories, whether it's chasing all my good friends down a mogul pitch or some steeps or shoots somewhere, or whether it's you know, sharing time in the evenings and talking about the things that are most important to us. But I can tell you, I have spent occasion to be skiing through the trees with a certain bopper who may or may not have lost a pole under a tree that we spent actually quite a bit of time looking for. I think we did end up finding it. Well, I hope I'll be coming back to the Boondoggle for a good many years in the future, and look forward to reconnecting with everyone next year.
I would say, you know, that things that I've learned here shaped my life.
I love being part of creating memorable events, and for 25 years, the Boondoggle it's just that. So with Judy, Beat, Turner, Vince, and all of us, it's an honor for me in some small way to be a catalyst for this annual happening. And so, to everyone watching out there, onward to another decade, because tomorrow is a powder day.
Boondoggle!